Hello, good day, and thank you for joining us. This is the Vectra webinar on a new and updated integration with the Splunk platform. My name is Gokul. I'm part of the product management team at Vectra, and joining me today are my colleagues, Fabian and Gerard. So before we get started, just a couple of simple housekeeping tips. First and foremost, on your webinar pane itself, you would see a list of a number of additional resources that you can take away for reading and referring after the webinar itself. During the course of this conversation, should any questions come to mind, please hit us up in the chat window, and we will keep an eye on those and address some of those as they are in context, or we will answer all of them at the end of the prepared topic. And finally, please help us with your feedback on how useful, how relevant you found this webinar, and any additional topics that you would like us to cover in future webinars, or any hints that would make it more relevant to you. Okay. With that said, I will jump into today's agenda. Broadly, we want to once again reiterate the relevance of such kind of a solution in terms of who needs it, why do they need it, what are the challenges prior to today, and then walk you through what we've done with the updates and a quick demonstration before we go into Q&A. Right? So the one thing that we've come to expect is that as enterprise IT is growing and maturing, the one constant is always there's more, right? What used to be data centers now includes a host of SaaS applications. At minimum, you have identity and your basic business productivity applications that are now consumed as SaaS, single sign-on, and those kinds of capabilities. And almost 3 out of 4 businesses are adopting one cloud, if not more cloud. Of those who are actually using the cloud, almost 80% of them are choosing to go with more than one cloud. So these attack surfaces are just expanding, and the threat vectors, when looking at this expanding surface, that is an exponential increase. So the challenge is that many security leaders find it hard to just keep up with this explosion in the attack surface itself. That being said, attackers are not taking a break. They are getting more and more sophisticated, and interestingly enough, they're starting to find a few common points of compromise from where the paths they can take are even broader, right? So as a result, what we thought of as traditional approaches are no longer foolproof. They're very easy to evade because the attacker has this buffet of choices, both in terms of targets and paths to get there. So all this means that defenders need to respond. And it is, while the number of threat vectors is exponentially growing, the number of defenders on the team is not even growing linearly, right? Recruitment, hiring is a challenge. And so there's a massive emphasis on better efficiency. So with all this, how does one tackle this problem? Can it simply be, more of everything? Can we just say, okay, hey, new attack surfaces, let's get more tools. Let's build more rules because we found more paths and targets. And then to get efficiency in workflows, can we just tune out more stuff or just keep adding on? Fundamentally, none of these options are scalable, right? We cannot just keep adding more tools because each tool comes with its own operational burden, call it a tax, if you will, and they're more and more disconnected. And so a threat that is moving across these different surfaces needs to have that cohesive view so that as a defender, you need to have a view that will track these attacks over these different threat surfaces. I think broadly, I need to say very little about the fact that rules and signatures are no longer viable. And finally, workflows need, given the fire hose of alerts from a multitude of tools already, I think smart and very, very crisp and confident alerts of malicious activity is what the SOC organization needs. So with that in mind, most organizations are leveraging a SIM as the common point of aggregation, not just for logs and for metadata and threat hunting, but more fundamentally as an aggregation point for alerts, security alerts from a number of different tools. So among the SIMs, it's no surprise that Splunk is one of the most popular. We're seeing an increasing adoption of the Splunk cloud-based platform as well. And so many of our customers have been asking us about, now that Vectra has a few different solutions, how do all of those come together in Splunk? Because Splunk is the single pane of glass today that SOC analysts are going to be looking at. So with that backdrop, I would now hand it over to my colleague, Gerard, to talk through more about what Vectra is offering in this space as part of the updated technology add-on and the Splunk app itself. Gerard?
Thanks, Gokul. Yep, absolutely. So Vectra's new Splunk integration is all about taking in all of the information that we are pulling in from all of our products and making it as usable and as simple to use as possible. And so why are we doing this? There's three very simple reasons. For us, it's about improving the coverage that we offer. Apologies. Improving the coverage by combining the thread information from Vectra's on-premise coverage using Detect for Network and our new AWS and M365 cloud coverage, and delivering it all into a single unified Splunk dashboard. This means that regardless of where your attacker is moving, you're able to see it. And effectively, it would be nice in a world if an attacker would just say, well, I'm going to attack across one specific attack surface and just save it in there. But they don't. They come in, they might use whatever they can. They'll move between M365 into using Azure Active Directory, maybe SSO, into AWS. They might move from the M365 into your network. And you need to have this unified view because the attacker will move across these, and you really want to be able to cover all of this in one single view. If you jump to the next slide. Clarity as well is really important to us because this means you can react to real threats faster through the streamlined integration of threat intelligence data from Vectra into Splunk. And this means that you have your Vectra alerts are visible within your workflow, within your existing way that you do business, and it's all as simple as possible. And it means that you also are able to seamlessly move from seeing these alerts in your Splunk dashboard into Vectra's platform, where you're able to investigate and respond as easily as possible. Specifically in terms of how this works, thank you. The way that this works effectively is that Vectra will monitor activity either in your brain or in the cloud, and it will, using syslog, just like what we have currently, it will send high fidelity alerts into Splunk via syslog. And even if you're using, say, our SaaS platform, you can monitor your Vectra O365 activity or AWS activity in the cloud, in our data analytics, and then we'll send data into Splunk using our SaaS API, and this will move into the Splunk app as well to give you a unified view. And so you can see the top threat for what Vectra thinks is the most important thing to worry about within your environment in Splunk. And then from there, your analysts can easily and seamlessly click to go into the Vectra platform for further analysis if they need to, maybe to do further investigations within recall to see the actual underlying metadata behind the activity, or they may need to respond to it. They can do this as well easily from the Vectra platform with no need to worry about logins, with no need to worry about any accounts. It's all perfectly seamless. And if they are in the SaaS UI, again, it's a really simple one-click pivot. They can go from here into the SaaS UI, view the detection details maybe in more detail, and then also pivot into our instant investigations within that platform to really seamlessly investigate everything. And they can go in and we integrate directly into your existing Splunk workflows so that they can view what we think is the top threat, regardless of which source it's coming from, be it in network, in O365, in AWS, or be it for a host or an account which we're worried about. Specifically within that, this is exactly what the thing will look like, and Fabian will be going into a deeper demo later, but specific details are that we show within the Splunk Enterprise dashboard, we'll have an app which will show exactly what you need. You can see attack signal from network and attack signal from M365 here, as prioritized by what we think is the highest priority for us. And this uses Vectra's advanced auto prioritization, which means that we can split things out into our 4-quadrant view: the critical quadrant, the high quadrant, the medium quadrant, and the low quadrant, where the critical things are things that we think need to be investigated immediately. Our high quadrant are things which we think are important and warrant investigation as soon as possible. And then our medium and low quadrants are more so opportunistic threat hunting, of alerts which may warrant investigation, but which we don't really believe yet is something that needs to be investigated by the SOC analyst in the day-to-day workflow. And this means that effectively it's a way for us to reduce the noise that you see within your environment and to only worry about the signal. In terms of specifically how, the integration will effectively pull in data from whatever source you have, be it AWS, M365, and network. The integration itself is really simple to deploy. It works directly in Splunk's marketplace that's there right now. And so you can do a one-click download and install it. It couldn't be simpler. And once this integration is set up, you'll be able to investigate alerts across every current Vectra product and any future Vectra products that we work on without needing to understand the details of where the suspicious activity was spotted, and without needing deep training on the intricacies of the network or each identity or cloud provider as well. So with that, and with that kind of background, I'd like to hand over to Fabian to go through a demo discussing exactly how this works exactly.
Yep, thank you, Eroin. I will now share my Windows. So just confirm that it's actually switched, if you can. Are you seeing my?
I can see your shared screen. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll take the next 10 minutes, I think, to do a tour of the app and what have changed. If you don't have any knowledge of what the app was before, it doesn't really matter. I will really point out to the benefit of what we built. So here we are in our demo environment. This is a Splunk all-in-one setup running version 9.0. It has already add-on installed to gather data from actually multiple on-prem brain using syslog, as well as the add-on we released a couple of months ago to be able to pull the data from the Vectra SaaS platform, which in this case use API-based type of integration. So in the scenario where you will have a distributed environment, you will just have to proceed and install those add-ons into your indexes as well as the headend, and you will be good to go. So the Vectra Detect app, I'm going to go straight to here, and this is we change completely the landing page of the app. We don't have the overview anymore. We go straight to what matters, and this is that unified table view of all the entities we have prioritized into the environment, and you have in one single table every information you need on what we actually want you to investigate. So this table, you have all the different data sources. So it could be network, Microsoft 365 or Azure AD, as well as AWS. So depending of the type of environment or actually attack surface you're covering with Vectra, you will have all those signals directly to the Splunk app. And you can start drill down by time, but we want to show you everything you need to know right there. The severity, the sources, so it could be AWS. In this case, it could be Microsoft 365, Azure AD, or network, or you can just show all of them. You have the ability to also dynamically set filter by just clicking on the table. The type of entity you would like to see, by default, we show you all entities, which could be either host or account on one single table. And you have the ability as well that's kind of something new we added, which was already a workflow existing in our product, with the ability to see if that entity has been assigned to anyone in your SOC organization, and being able to see who is assigned to that. And so if someone is already working on it or not. So either you can just filter about everything which has been assigned, everything which has been unassigned, or you can just select a name and you see which entity has been assigned to that particular user. By default, we really want you to focus on entity we prioritize. So as Gary mentioned, the prioritization we built into our platforms to really show you what matters is key for us to point out what you need to focus and investigate first. And that table is ordered by severity. So the quadrant upper right is what's displayed first. And this is what you need to focus on. And after that, the second one order is the threat score assigned to that entity. And as you scroll down, all the critical entities are on the top, and then high entity as well following up. There is ability from there to drill down into a specific entities, like Conrad HP. Well, I can look at this one, but what really want to highlight here is, again, Vectra, we're not showing a table of detection, right? And detection, you have to look one after the other. The way we prioritize, and we want you to help you to prioritize to what really matter is the ability to collect all the different detection and attacker behavior we have seen and attach it to an entity. So in this case, you can see that Vectra built a technology, a host identification technology, which allows to track hosts even if they change IP. And we follow if there is any attacker behavior or detection trigger for that specific host, it will be attached back to that host. And as you drill down to a certain host, that's not. I will take this one. If you drill down to a certain host, you will have a list of all the detection all the behavior we have seen attached to that host. Every individual detection, are assigned a score, and this is composed of two different scores: the threat and the certainty score. The threat is how dangerous we think it is, and the certainty is how certain we are, because as you know, we're not using any type of signatures or anomaly detection. So based on the models and the AI of our detection, we sometimes more certain, we're not sometimes not as certain as we should be. So the score will evolve as we actually get more confident into we have seen or not that detection, how dangerous it is. And the score which is computed at the entity level, for example, here we are looking at DC2 AWS, which is probably instance running on AWS. You see that score as well, a threat and certainty score attached to that entity, is computed based on the total of individual detection we are seeing on that host, and that's the the combination of all those detection and maybe the progression we're seeing in the attack happening on that host that actually pump the score of the host up, and we prioritize it as very critical and something which need to be investigated. From the AG workflow, so we move directly from the entity view to the detection view. Here we have a filter on that host we want to investigate. You see the different type of behavior we are seeing. This is our AI model detection running on our platform, the type of the phase of the kill chain, and you can directly from there, jump into Vectra, continue the investigation. So you can just click on the link right there. It will point you directly to the detection detail and detection information we have available on the Vectra platform. So make it easy to move from one platform to the other. So you can just click as many detection you like as you are going through your investigation. You have the same type of pivot capabilities from the entity page. Each and every line here, you can just drill down into a certain host or an account that will drill down within the Splunk app, giving you all the detail and information about the different detection behavior which have been observed from that host. And if you wish to continue the investigation, you can just click on the link right there. It will open a new page, go straight to the Vectra UI, and you will have the view of the host. You will have the list of detection assigned to that host, and you can also start maybe assigning that host, for example, to myself, and I will kind of continue the investigation from there. So we really, try to make it as easy as possible to get all the information you need to know what to work on and what have been prioritized by Vectra on a single page and list, and make it easy to move from Splunk to either it could be one on-prem brand or multiple on-prem brands. That's totally something also we see, or the Vectra SaaS platform, and this would be one-click. That's the case here, for example. It's kind of a link for the Vectra SaaS, and you will just have one click to just pivot there and see the detection and continue the investigation. The other thing we built within our app, so you have the ability to see entities. That's what we want you to focus on, and this is how we prioritize things within our platform. The detection view, the campaign view, when multiple hosts or attack as part of what we think the same attack or the same campaign. You have that view directly on Splunk, and also the lockdown history and view. So Within Vectra platform, you have the ability to lock down account or host through EDR integration for the host, and we give you the ability directly from Splunk to see exactly what is being currently locked or what has been locked in the past, and have that history view right there available to you. Yeah, I think that's it. What I wanted to show you as a quick tour of the new app for Splunk. So feel free to update your app and try it out.
Thanks very much, Fabian. And before we close out before we close the demo, one of the things that we really do like about the assignment workflow specifically is that alongside, obviously, as you're an analyst who comes in and you want to see the top priority unassigned entity that you want to look at, this also actually powers Vectra's operational metrics report. And so as your analysts use this workflow, assign entities to themselves, investigate it, and then resolve it, the actual result is that you can get a report at the end of the month or whenever you need it, which will show you the time it takes for your analysts to action the average entity that Vectra has prioritized and how long it takes to resolve them. So you can see by using Splunk, just using the default recommended workflows and by integrating closely in with Vectra, you can effectively at the end of the day see how effectively are you as a company using Vectra. And so effectively this means that you can see, oh, cool, so this month in Vectra, our time to acknowledge has been this time, and our time to respond is here. Our expectations or SLAs are at this level, and so we're effectively operationalizing Vectra and making sure we have good threat coverage there. Or maybe we're seeing some issues here. Maybe we need to make a call to figure out how we can improve that integration.
Awesome. Thank you, Gerard. Thank you, Fabian. So just going through a few questions that popped up. So the first is, in terms of implementation, how quickly do you think a customer can get this integration up and running? Is there a fee or a license for this integration?
So our app are free of use. They are all available directly from the Splunk base. You can just install them in minutes directly from the Splunk UI, and they will be ready to go within a minute of configuration.
Got it. And second question is, so today I have my Vectra Brain UI for the network, and I have the Vectra SaaS UI for Detect for AWS, and I get to choose between where I want Office 365. So with this Splunk dashboard view, are all those three domains coming into a converged quadrant, or am I still looking at at separate screens?
Yes, so with that, the unified app within Splunk, you gather all the different data from different platforms. It could be on-prem or SaaS, and all the data are normalized and can see as a single view within Splunk. So you don't have to jump from one platform or another, even in the scenario where you have multiple brain, which can happen. Imagine you have on different region, different brain installed. You can gather all that data back into one single place, which is Splunk, and use that app to have that single view.
Awesome. So that is my true single pane of glass.
Correct.
That's great. So are there any version dependencies either on the Vectra side or the Splunk side for this solution?
Good question. We test normally every latest version of Splunk. So 9.0 is probably the last one, so we make sure that our app are compatible with this new version. We normally also support the last two versions of Splunk, so it's 8.2 and 8.1 fully supported. Anyway, in the Splunk base, for each of the app and add-on, you have the version which have been tested and what the app is compatible with. But most of the time, if you're up to date on the Vectra side and have like Splunk or one of the latest two versions of Splunk, that will work without any problems.
Wonderful. So I think that's all the questions that have come in the chat. So at this point, let me just give it another couple of seconds in case any new thoughts come up. Any other questions from the audience?
I think we addressed most of them.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, please download the resources. The material from the webinar will be made available to you as well after the event, and we urge you all to give this a try, and are confident that it will help you with driving efficient, faster SOC operations.
Thank you.
With that, thank you everyone, and we wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you for attending.
Thanks very much.